Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit for round 3 of the Asia Talent Cup here in Malaysia. Race 2 is getting underway shortly. The guys are just out on the sighting laps at the moment, and after the absolute humdinger of a race that we had yesterday, I'm very much looking forward for race number 2 of the weekend. My name's Jack Appleyard, and alongside me will be Fran Wild. Fran, more of the same, please. I'm sure it will be.
Definitely. Maybe without that red flag that shortened it.
Of course.
Because, it was a very exciting race yesterday. But, bit of drama at the end, sadly robbing us of a few laps, which we don't want in the ATC because it is always drama from start to finish.
It was building into quite the finish, wasn't it?
It really was. And, we got that, but in a slightly different fashion than maybe expected. But, this race 2 then should be a really interesting one. And especially around this track with that final corner, and it's such a long lap for these guys. When you are on that last lap, you really have to think through those tactics because it's quite a few kilometres from crossing that line for the final time to meeting it at the flag.
It is, as we saw yesterday, not up to the checkered flag, but on a couple of occasions in the drag towards the line. Even if you make a move into the final corner and you come out of it first, it doesn't mean you're going to lead over the line. Often we saw the man leading actually get drafted back into third place. So tactics are going to be interesting if we get to the closing stages and onto the final lap.
You have such little faith if we get there.
I'm sure we will. Yesterday, unfortunately, if you weren't here, the race did get red flagged with 4 laps remaining and it was declared a route. Fortunately, though, we will mention first the fact that all 4 riders involved in the incident at turn 1 have been declared okay and will participate in this one. But because after 2/3 race distance, the result was declared, Sho Nishimura was a man that led him across the line the lap previous, and the victory went his way for the 3rd time this season, meaning coming into this one, he's now 32 points clear at the top of the championship. Yeah,
it's a really good look there, really, for Nishimura. You have no idea when that red flag comes kind of out the blue, when it's gonna hit you and finish the race. But at that one, it was Nishimura across the line by almost nothing. It was really, really close, but it's really, really, good luck for the Japanese rider, and it's helped him stoke that championship lead that already was pretty healthy before that race. So, cards pretty much fell his way yesterday.
Right place, right time. It almost just gives you the feeling that maybe it's his name that's etched on the Asia Talent Cup this year.
Penciled, we'll say.
Penciled at this stage, yeah. But very fortuitous to have come out as the race winner, but well deserved as well to have got him at the front of the race and to make sure if any drama was to unfold behind, which often can be the case in the Asia Talent Cup, he was there to pick up the 25 points. And he'll start this one from pole position, I'm sure, brimming with confidence. There he is, the number 3. If he can get as strong a start as he did yesterday.
That seems fairly brimming.
He's up for it.
Yeah, so Nishimura starts on pole as well, even better news for him. And then we do have, though, the man who was actually second in that red flagged race in the end by mere hundredths, Afridze Monanda, who's now also making a bit of a charge a little bit further up the championship standings as well. So it'd be interesting to see if he can capitalise today. And then we have number 14 of the impressive Ashoke Igarashi on the front row.
Yeah, a class rookie, Ashoke Igarashi, and rode really well yesterday. There was a breakaway group of 5 riders, and for the first time this season, Igarashi managed to get himself involved in that leading group. Came across the line in the end in 5th place, which he might be slightly disappointed by, but it is still a best Asia Talent Cup finish for the young Japanese rider. Talking of young Japanese riders, here's another one. Takumi Matsuyama, 3rd on the podium yesterday, but he wasn't best pleased with another podium finish. He's still waiting for a victory this year. 2 second places, 2 third places now, but maybe today will be the day.
So, obviously Matsuyama pretty consistent, but still looking for that win. And Adinante Putra starts alongside him on the 2nd row. So, another man who's been on the podium so far, but not quite on the top step.
Yeah, he wasn't.
So,
didn't go so well yesterday.
He did not.
Putra.
I think he'll be one of the guys looking for a bit of a bigger step forward today. A little bit out of position in some ways. And then Harrison Voigt is, really impressive qualifying, like we mentioned in yesterday's race. bit of a tougher race once the lights went out, fell back a little bit, but a solid step forward for him, at least in qualifying.
Yeah, both of them men on the second row of the grid. Putra had his worst result of the Asia Talent Cup this season yesterday in 6th place. He'd never been outside of the top 5.
The way you said that made it sound like it was going to be like 26.
I know, yeah, 6 isn't still bad, is it? But still, he'll be hoping for better. He's 3rd in the championship, still in contention, but I'm sure he'll be hoping to get himself into that leading group. Same will Harrison Voigt as well. Although he started from the second row of the grid, in the end was just fighting for the final points. In about 13th place he came across the line. We're on to the third row now, and it is a complete tie lockout with Singthong Nopakan. There's Patumios. And then rounding out row number 3 is this man, Tachikon Buasri, who had quite the day.
Quite an adventurous race one for the Thai rider. Yeah, he just overcooked it slightly into turn 1 for the first time yesterday, just after lights out. Dropped back quite a way in the race and was left with a bit of a mountain to climb, and he did really well getting back through the pack until, just unfortunately, again at turn 1, went down, took a couple of others riders with him as well, and then the red flag came out. So after doing all that work, sadly, couldn't really make much more than, I think it was 11th in the end for Buasri over the line. So be hoping for a bit of a cleaner race 2, I imagine, and a few more points, more like what he's been used to, because he is a pretty consistent front runner now after some real big improvements this season.
Yeah, he's one of only 3 race winners in the championship so far this season. Buasri Munandar's picked 1 up, and Sho Nishimura's picked up 3 of them, so quite greedy is Nishimura so far this season. We're on to the 4th row of the grid. Rounding it out is one of the Indonesian riders, Firdaus, who yesterday had a fairly strong ride. He was in that battle for 6th place, came across the line with 8 points, so not bad. An 8th place finish for the Indonesian. I'm sure he will take. It's not his best performance of the year, but still consistency just starting to grow for him. On to row number 5, and it's the first of the Malaysian riders on home soil. This is Idil bin Mahami. He's gone fairly well yesterday. Again, he was another of the riders in that scrap for 6th place. He was leading it at one point as well before getting shuffled backwards and picking up 10th in the end.
Yeah, and Abdul Mutakim, another Indonesian. Just you can see how hot it is at Sepang, that towel and through the visor. But he'll be looking for a bit more than where he is as well. And then another Japanese rider down in 15th on the grid, Ryosuke Bando. So another one of those riders who'll just be looking to try and tag on to that group ahead of him and just make some good progress and just show what he's learned so far in the Cup.
In terms of the split of the grid in pace, obviously Nishimura's on pole position. Bando, the man we've just seen there, rounding out row number 5, 2.9 seconds back. So it is still fairly tight, although Nishimura himself was 0.4 of a second clear of anybody else, just giving an indication of his dominance. There's just a quick flash of Jacob Rulston. Next to him on the grid is another Aussie in the form of Luke Power.
Greatest name in the world.
It is.
You paused as though you were waiting for me to say it. And
I feel like.
Every time we must point this out. Yeah, great name. And then we have Rei Wakamatsu down in 18th. So a few points for him so far, and I'm sure he'll be aiming to add a few more. And should be a good race all the way through here. And the one thing about Sepang as well, with that main straight, does help those who are a little bit further back maybe try and just stay in touch with those ahead of them with the slipstream. And Kadir Erbe then completes the grid, the Turkish rider. Oh no, I'm very sorry, I forgot the wild card. Shinji Ogo is our wild card this weekend, and he'll definitely be hoping to at least stay on the pace of those guys who are regular runners in the Cup and see what he can do on his appearance here at Sepang.
Shinji Ogo yesterday was the last of the finishers, but because it's a wild card performance, only a young man is Ogo, just trying to pick up as much as experience as he possibly can. It is his first visit to the Sepang International Circuit, and when the laps are 2 minutes and 18 in length, there's quite a lot of circuit to learn.
There really is, and especially obviously being a wild card, he's not had that testing experience at the start of the season that a lot of the others have, so it's quite a lot to make up really. Like you say, it's a really long track, this Sepang International Circuit, and a pretty complex one as well. It's by no means a rectangle.
No, far from
it's
it.
Plenty to challenge these young riders and plenty to learn at the Malaysian track. So we can see now it's starting to get ready to go. Not long to go, and you can see the heat haze on the grid as well. It is hot out there.
It is shorts at the ready for all the mechanics out there as the starter motors get going, and grid packed full of 250 standard Honda Moto3 machines barking to life. There is Nishimura just readying himself to start from pole position for the 4th time this season. The grid, incidentally, for races 1 and 2 are set from the same qualifying. I know in some series often the grid for race 2 is set from the fastest laps, but the qualifying session sets the grid for race 1 and race 2 irrelevant of the results in race 1. So a second pole of the season means it's a 4th opportunity for him to start from pole position, and that, Fran, was a very long-winded answer.
I enjoyed it though. I think it was clear enough. It's good. Exactly. So yeah, same grid as yesterday's race. So Nishimura has a chance to try and nail that start once again, but yesterday it was Matsuyama, wasn't it, coming through from row 2, who did a really, really great job. Not necessarily on the initial launch, but really gained some ground going up the gears and into turn 1. He was the man to beat. So pretty interesting to see if that's a repeated feat today, or if Nishimura can defend that a little bit more.
It is. You'll see on the warm-up lap here just how long the run from the grid into the first corner is. It's one of the circuits on the calendar that the Asia Talent Cup go to where, to be perfectly honest, the start isn't pivotal. Even if you don't get the best jump, you've still got plenty of opportunity to tuck in behind someone else, get through the gears, start, get motoring, and then if you're late on the brakes, you can still quite comfortably find yourself at the front as we flick right into turn 1.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, that run is sizable. Is what you could really get away with as a main straight at another track, just in itself, from the grid to turn 1. So yeah, it's by no means won and lost off the line, but turn 1 certainly can say a lot about your race.
Although, to be perfectly honest, of the other circuits that the Asia Talent Cup go to, there are quite a few other long straights. Losail in particular.
We do, yeah. Losail,
which is
of
the
course,
longest, and then the Chang International Circuit in there as well that has quite the mammoth straight itself.
It does, and of course at Buriram with the finish line so close out of the final corner as well, that's a whole separate challenge. Here there is still a chance to slipstream out that final corner and try and make it fight right to the wire. But at Buriram, it's all about that last corner dive. So we'll have to see if we get any of those here today at Sepang as well.
So that's the man that's going to start from the middle of the front row of the grid. Afrid Zamunandar, the first time this season he's been on the front row. A race winner so far this season in Thailand. Second yesterday. He's had 3 podiums in a row. Is he going to be the man to challenge Sho Nishimura today? Or will it be that man, the number 11, Takumi Matsuyama, third yesterday, led for quite some time as well before getting shuffled backwards? Or will it be him again? For a 4th time this season, can Nishimura get the job done? He starts from pole position, aiming for a 4th win of the season. We wait for the lights to go out here in Sepang, and it's a superb jump from Nishimura from pole position. We said it might not be pivotal, but when you get a start like that from pole position, you don't really give anybody else a chance.
Yeah, amazing start there from the number 3. Definitely better than his start in race 1. But it looks like you were saying, see, just about first into turn 1, but definitely under threat in the braking zone there. And Matsuyama again looking really threatening.
They did manage to close in down that mammoth start-finish straight, but he just held on, did Nishimura, and just like we had it yesterday, it's Matsuyama there in second and settled into third. I think it's Igarashi again inside the leading group. The number 6 of Thong Nopakun is there in 4th. A superb start from the 3rd row of the grid. He had a lot of work to do yesterday to close in on the leaders, but he looks to have got that work done early this time.
Yeah, and Boisri, a lot less drama off the line for him this time, and still right up there in that leading group, so he could be one to watch as well. Obviously, we didn't really get to see him in the leading group yesterday, so good stuff. And Mananda there just lost out quite a lot, really.
Massively.
Have to see how he can manage to hopefully make his way back through to the front and get in this fight, because yeah, definitely losing out off the line there was the Indonesian.
I was just trying to find him as they flicked through halfway around the Sepang International Circuit. He started from the front row of the grid, but where is he? Down in 8th place already. It's a disastrous start for Munandar. He was right in the mix for a race win yesterday. Got a rocket of a start from the front row, the complete opposite today, and got a lot of work to do from there. Meanwhile, out front, we have had a change for the lead. Matsuyama in that yellow helmet, very easy to spot, has hit the front and he's looking to break away as well.
Yeah, looks to be pedal to the metal for Matsuyama. Obviously, he knows with Nishimura
he's
bit of a moment
so wide there. He's luckily just managed to hold on to the lead at the moment. I'm not sure whether there might just be a penalty going his way there, because he was on the inside of the track. He was using track limits and a little bit more, but he just about held on. He backed off. He didn't gain an advantage.
Yeah, got to be careful with that. Obviously, the green stuff, and then with track limits in general, you can't play fast and loose with them too much, or it will come down on you. But yeah, keeping the lead at the moment is Matsuyama, and managed to recover from that a bit, but certainly cut that gap down that he'd already been starting to build.
He did, as we saw yesterday on a couple of occasions. Someone would hit the front, pull out half a second, but quickly that would get reeled back in again. Nobody was able to break clear, even though Matsuyama has tried. Suddenly everyone is back with him. Big look up the inside there coming from Adinantra, who were questioning where he'd come through from on the second row of the grid, but he's just had a proper lunge into the first corner, and as a result he's now up into second.
Yeah, and you can see on the graphic on the left of the screen, Monanda down 8 places over the line last time. Maybe he managed to make up. Yeah, you can see now it's moved, maybe made up a few into turn 1. That will have been over the line. But yeah, difficult start for the number 4. And giving himself plenty of work to do in the first few laps of this race to really get back with the likes of Matsuyama and Nishimura, who showed they had the pace yesterday.
I do feel sorry for the man that's got to try and work that ticking order down the left-hand side, because it's changing every corner. But it looks to have just stayed static at the moment, with Matsuyama quite happy at the front of this one. Nishimura, who is the favourite going into it, you would have to say, with 3 race wins so far, looks fairly comfortable in third. You can see nobody breaking clear, as again, that's Putra way wide. And as a result, he's going to lose a bit of drive. It's going to give the opportunity for Nishimura to look up the inside, but no way through. He remains in third.
Yeah, looked like Nishimura thought a little bit better of it there, and Putra managed to gather it up and get back on track. But it is definitely a better showing from him so far today. And yeah, good start and got him right up in the mix there. You could see someone, I think it's Monanda, patting the backside there, saying, "Stay with me, I've got the pace." And he may do, but it's always a little bit of an exercise in futility when these younger riders do that. It's not very likely that the guys are going to listen to you.
It's a Talent Cup classic, whether you see it in the Asia Talent Cup, the British Talent Cup, even the European Talent Cup sometimes.
Yeah,
they
it really
always
is.
pat the back of the bike, and does anybody ever pay attention to it? I don't think they have.
Absolutely not. But we'll see if these guys do today and prove us wrong. But you can see it's getting a little bit feisty into the final corner already. So yeah, keep an eye on that. You're doing it again. You see the number 4 there, just at the top of your screen. But these guys now, I imagine this is going to be a bit of a shuffle into turn 1, because they're all so close, and that slipstream here really does have a big say in the race.
It was Igarashi that made a big move into the final corner and just slowed everybody else behind him up, which allowed Matsuyama's just to edge ever further away. It's good to see Igarashi just getting a little bit more involved than he did yesterday. He was in the front group, but he was quite placid, really. We never really saw a big move coming from him. We never saw the elbows or the knees come out from the Japanese rider, but after a boost of confidence of being in the leading group yesterday, he looks far more up for it now.
Yeah, and of course, if he was sort of saving himself for a battle in the final couple of laps as well with that red flag, yeah, we never got to see what may be the best of Igarashi. So today it could reveal that. But Monanda then has made short work of all those guys ahead of him and is now the man chasing down Matsuyama. So you can see he's cut into that gap already quite sizably. Have to keep an eye on this and see if the number 4 is going to catch him and then stay with him, or maybe catch him and attack him straight away.
Well, if he can continue the pace that he's managing to pull him in, then it looks like he might just break clear. 0.7 of a second in the opening 2 sectors already is quite impressive from the Indonesian rider.
Not a bad half a lap, is it?
No, he's chopping at that gap sector after sector, and the fact that they now flick right here and will eventually make their way onto the back straight with the advantage now at about a quarter of a second, you would imagine he's just going to reel him in and possibly have an opportunity to pass him as we edge towards the end of the Sepang International Circuit.
Yeah, and you can see now it's actually a bigger gap back to third and Nishimura than it is between the two now in the lead. So I think it'll be pretty interesting to see what Monanda does when we get onto this straight and also around the final corner and the main straight. But a really, really impressive pace from him to be able to close down Matsuyama so quickly.
So here we are down the back straight. Let's see what Munanda can do. He's tucked in behind the number of 11, but hasn't really pulled that much in. That's a big move behind coming from the number 14 of Igarashi. It's the second lap in a row that the young Japanese riders had the doctors dangle out. The left leg was waving in the wind and he just about got it stopped on both occasions, but I saw the lads behind him won't be particularly pleased that he's making such a lunge up the inside of them.
It's a pretty spicy manoeuvre for so few laps into the race. But yeah, fair play, tried it and pulled it off, so no harm done. And it's always good as well to rehearse those moves if it does come down to a final corner decider. But at the moment then, Matsuyama managed to escape both those straights and stay with the race lead.
But he doesn't have his comfort buffer anymore. It was at about half a second halfway around the lap last time around. It's been pretty much null and void now. They're all queuing up behind the Japanese rider as his compatriot squeezes his way through into second. This is a strong showing coming from Ashoke Igarashi.
Yeah, it really is, and you can see now he seems to be a little bit more impatient than yesterday and really homing in on the back of Matsuyama now. And yeah, it's a really good group fight here today. Yesterday we saw, sort of 4 and then 5 eventually as Thongnopakon joined the front quartet, managed to break away. But at the moment, we've got a group of 6 here, but it's really not that far back to another huge gaggle of riders in that second group.
Yeah, the number 6 of Thongnopakon just tailing this lead group at the moment, but you'd be daft to count out Tachikon Buwasri, who was shown over the opening 2 rounds of the season. He has got the pace, he's got a race-winning pace actually. He did it on home soil in Thailand just about a month or so ago, so if the slightest of sniff comes his way, he'll be latching on to this leading group. Meanwhile, it's still Matsuyama out front that leads the way, with Munanda tucked in behind him.
Yeah, you can see it's getting a little bit impatient maybe for the likes of Igarashi and Munanda now. You can see was that Putra having a big look up the inside as well. So yeah, these guys got to be careful though. It's a lot easier to fight off 5 other guys than slow yourselves up and then be faced with a freight train of 10, 12 riders.
And I don't want to write him off just yet, but we've barely mentioned Sho Nishimura in this one. It is quite unlike him as he starts to make his way forward with a move back into 4th place. Normally he's at the front, lap in, lap out, as we saw yesterday with those tactics paying off once the red flag came out. But at the moment he seems quite comfortable just mid-pack, but he'll have to be careful there because he can quite easily get caught up in someone else's incident.
Yeah, it really can. Obviously, there's a risk to being the race leader. You naturally always have that target on your back then. There's also a bit of a risk in being down in this fight as well. And as you can see there, pretty brave from Nishimura round the outside of turn 1. Round the outside is always a brave place to be. If someone else drops it, then you're right in the firing line to also lose out. But yeah, at the moment, not quite the leader, pace setter, benchmark kind of style we've seen from Nishimura at times this season, but still well in this fight, and no one seemingly has the pace to escape because those 2 guys have really got past Matsuyama now.
Meanwhile, at the front, and deservingly so as well, it's Ashoke Igarashi. He has been superb in this race so far. A complete polar opposite to what we saw yesterday. He was almost a little bit shy. It's almost at times as if he was frightened to make a move, but a boost of confidence with his best ever finish yesterday, and he's right in the mix today, trying to fight back at Matsuyama, who's taken the lead back off of him. Igarashi showed his front wheel to the Japanese rider, but no way through on this occasion.
Yeah, it's getting pretty tight in this group now, and you can see that second group just have managed to close up on them. So this is the price you pay for those squabbles out the front, and as soon as you start getting in each other's way, obviously it makes it so much easier for those guys on the chase to hunt you down. But Matsuyama, yeah, back through into the lead now, and dispatching Igarashi and Munanda fairly quickly as well. So impressive stuff from him so far. We'll have to see if he does seem fairly eager to lead this race, I think. So we'll have to see if he has got a bit more pace in his pocket and if he can pull the pin.
The directors, unsurprisingly, focusing on the top Malaysian rider at the moment in 8th place, who, of course, is Safiuddin Azman. I think it is, yeah. Azman's there in 8th place. There's 2 in this group. There's obviously Idil bin Mahadi there as well, but Mahadi just down in 15th at the moment, and he's out of contention in this group because on the back of it is a number 7 rider of Hildan Kozama. So it's 12 riders in this leading group.
It is, yeah. So we have a real big train now in classic ATC style. Matsuyama, again, though, a little bit of a gap for the Japanese rider out front. But these guys are now closing in, of course, with that slipstream. So looks like we're going to have a pretty feisty fight with this, huge group now it is. How many riders? 12, 13?
12 riders,
maybe more.
Yeah. 12 at the moment, but that could increase quite easily if they continue to battle up front as they are. Big look up the inside from Igarashi again. He is riding well, as we said, but he's also just a little bit tentative at times when he's on the brakes. He looks like he might just have a mistake in him, and I don't want to curse him, but every time he's on the brakes, he's so late. The leg comes out every time, and you just think it may well be a matter of time. But at the moment, he's riding pretty well. Meanwhile, change for the leads. Nope, swap that. Matsuyama back in front once again.
Yeah, nice little close duel between those two guys at the moment, who obviously both on that podium in race 1 as well. And I think is it Nishimura who now, trails them. So he's moved back into 3rd. But I say that and obviously immediately I'm proved wrong. That's the way it goes in the ATC. But Nishimura then maybe can see that those guys seem to be pulling away a little bit, or certainly Matsuyama, because he has been a little bit more of a calmer start to this race, really, for Sho Nishimura. A little bit off that lead and not really seeming like he wants to be that guy in the front and heading the charge.
You can ignore the timing screen to the left-hand side because it's had Matsuyama drop down to 20th. Clearly his monitor on board has just gone off the boil for whatever reason, but he is leading at the moment, so you can see on the TV pictures. Big mistake from Matsuyama there, and he's gone wide once again. And he gets tagged and flip over the top as well. That is a huge incident. The number 8 of Ryusuke Bando in there as well. I hope Matsuyama's okay. That was a massive incident. It's not the first time in this race that he's ran wide there. This time as he came back across the track, unfortunately collected someone else. And obviously medical attention will be with him shortly, but that has allowed the number 4 of Afridza Munandar just to escape. Huge incident for Matsuyama though, and so undeserving of it because he was riding superbly well at the start of this one.
He really was. Great shame to see him go down like that, and like you said, Wayne just came back on the track so unlucky there to come across another rider and just flipped him, and down he goes out of this race. So let's have a look at this replay then.
He came back across the track. No, it wasn't Ryusuke Bando, it was the man in 3rd place, Buasri, who he clipped. So unlucky. Buasri couldn't do anything about it. He came back across the track. Well, that is a big crash for
Nakamoto-san. Looks on. But hopefully then we'll see that Matsuyama is all okay after that big incident. But big drama there for the race leader. He did look really solid out front, and then just that mistake. It's a difficult day in the championship now for him as well. Yeah,
disappointing for Matsuyama. Did not deserve that, and as a result you can see the live championship at the moment does mean that Nishimura is going to edge ever further clear, because Matsuyama was his closest rival coming into this one, 32 points adrift, but a nil score for the Japanese rider means that he's going to be out of contention, and it's the first non-score for Matsuyama as well. Ultra consistent at the start of the season, only been out of the podium on one occasion where he finished 5th, so he's been so good in the opening 5 races of the season, but now there's going to be a big fat 0 in that race number 6 column.
There is, and I'm sure he'll now be the first person hoping that someone other than Sho Nishimura is going to take this race win today. He really needs that to try and just gain a little bit back in the standings. Obviously now he's also under threat from a few other riders. It's not a 2-horse race by any means, but if it is a bit more of a fight and someone different maybe is on the top step or the 2nd step, then could help out Matsuyama after that mistake. So I have to see. Yellow flags, where were they?
I'm sure they were waving, because that is where Matsuyama went
indeed,
down.
So I'm not sure. Hopefully we've
quite possibly it was on the first corner.
Sorted.
It's a double apex turn that all turns into 2 corners.
I mean, that was eagle-eyed. I did not spot that. So
I just saw in the background. You can see the green flag being waved now. Maybe the yellow flags had just been pulled in time. The man to keep your eye on is Putra. We'll get an indication on the bottom of our screen if anything or any penalties are handed in his direction.
Right, so you can see now that Nishimura takes over at the top. We've not said that much in this race, but the Japanese championship leader has gone for it. And then immediately is swallowed up by everyone else again down into turn 1. But Nishimura certainly now looking a little bit racier and really willing to attack for that lead now.
Super tight into turn 1 there. Afridza just absolutely... Sorry, Igarashi slammed the door shut on Afridza Munandar. There was no room whatsoever, and Igarashi was having absolutely none of it. We're saying this is the best and most confident ride of the season from him. He's continuing to grow lap after lap, corner after corner. He has been shuffled back to 3rd place now, but if he's in contention going into closing stages, he's one to certainly contend with. There's Ryusuke Bando, who has he had a technical problem or has he crashed out? I'm not sure whereabouts on track that is.
No, I didn't get much of that.
It looks like it's game over for Bando. Picked up 2 points yesterday, but he's not going to pick up any today. Meanwhile, back at the front, and it's Munandar that leads. He's got Igarashi there in 2nd place, and Adanantri Putra in 3rd. And Nishimura, where is he? He just keeps shuffling backwards. He's 5th
I
at the
spoke
moment.
too soon, didn't I? Spoke too soon last time around when he'd hit the front briefly, but it got swallowed up again, has the Japanese rider. And yeah, down in 5th, is it? Yeah, 5th at the moment, like you said. Sorry, I can learn to count myself as well. But Munandar now is at the front. I have to see if Igarashi is going to be able to do much about that. Not like that, he won't. Bit wide there, bit wide from the Japanese rider.
And I tell you what, ride of the day is coming from the man in 4th place, Harrison Voigt. This is by far and away his best performance of the season. Coming into this one, his best result was 10th, and suddenly he's in with a shout of a podium here. Qualified brilliantly yesterday to start from the outside of the 2nd row of the grid. Didn't go to plan in race 1, but he's right in the mix now as the Australian.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a pretty interesting situation now we've got in this front group. So a lot on the line, a lot to play for. And Matsuyama, it doesn't seem to have spooked too many other riders too much. Still, really giving it some out there at the moment.
Move around the outside from Nishimura, sees him up into 4th place. He's just trying to pick his passes at the moment, is Nishimura. It's not the same show in the opening 5 races, of the season, where he was pretty much...
What else have we done?
I know, sorry. But he was nearly always at the front, and right on cue, there he goes, up to 2nd place. You can see...
Just likes to confound.
You can see Munandar just escaping ever so slightly the front of this one. 2 or 3 bike claims was his advantage, and Nishimura was having none of it. He's straight up into 2nd place and straight on the case as well. He's already starting to pull him in.
Yeah, most definitely. He will know, of course, with Matsuyama out, then his closest rival is Munandar in terms of the standings. So it's pretty important as well that he doesn't just sit back and say, Matsuyama's out, so let's play it safe. Obviously, he can be a little bit more conservative than the likes of Munandar, who really needs to start chopping into that points lead now. But definitely can't waste an opportunity to make a gain on one key rival either.
Munandar has had one up on Nishimura so far this season in Thailand, where he beat out Nishimura to the race 1 win at the Chang International Circuit. Other than that, a podium in race number 2 in Thailand, and then 2nd yesterday where he got beat out by Nishimura. It is pretty even Stevens, you would have to say, when the pair have come to blows. But to be perfectly honest, it's going to be interesting to see just how level-headed Nishimura is. He will have seen that Matsuyama's gone down. Realistically, does he have to battle with Munandar?
True, it's a valid question. I would say yes at this stage in the season, but also not, the full Marc Marquez dive bomb final corner style. Maybe, a little bit more conservative.
But I think his biggest query is not going to be Munandar out in front. It's the 7 or 8 riders queuing up behind him.
Most definitely, yeah. And especially, like we've said, with this back straight, then the final corner, and then another straight on the drag to the line. It's, definitely one to pin it and just start praying, really.
So it's those two that are leading the way at the moment. Incidentally, Afridza Munandar, your leader, is just coming round the final corner. When they go across the line, it means there's going to be 4 laps remaining. Cut a streak yesterday of 4 consecutive 4th place finishes here at Sepang. No, sorry, I've got that wrong. 4 consecutive no point finishes. So it was even worse.
Yeah. No,
I've got that many 4s with 4 races, 4 DNS.
Too many 4s.
I just thought it was going to be 4th place. But no, finally he managed to get some points here at Sepang, and some fairly healthy ones as well in 20.
Most definitely. And Yeah, at the moment there, we can see Nishimura then has taken over at the front once again. So caught us napping slightly there. But the Japanese rider back into the head of this race. It's definitely one where, maybe without the likes of Matsuyama in this race, you'd expect him to have a little bit in his pocket compared to the competition, especially with the lap time that he set for pole. But at the moment, he's definitely being made to work for this by the likes of Monanda, who seems to be pretty eager to have that race lead back.
Yeah, that was a brave look up the inside there. Super quick left-hander. And he just tried to edge his way through. Not much of a gap. Showed his front wheel to Nishimura, but there was no way through. Here he goes again, Monanda. God, he is keen to try and make his way through. But at the moment, Nishimura holds on.
Yeah, he does. At the moment, these two then looking pretty feisty out front. But then what can the likes of, Igarashi, Putra just right behind them there as well. Igarashi even a little bit close.
It's hard on the brakes there.
A little bit close.
You could see the front end just bouncing up and down as he was so hard on the brakes. The chatter was easy for us to see, and just for a minute when it starts to just bounce like that, you just think it's a matter of when that the front end's just going to fold from beneath him. But he managed to straight line it and make sure that the front wheel didn't lock and tuck from beneath him, and as a result he remains there in third place. But back at the front, third time lucky it was for Monanda, because after two big looks up the inside of the previous two corners, he finally gets the job done. And to be perfectly honest, Daddy's a bit of an experience from the Indonesian rider there. As you come down the back straight, he had a big look over his shoulder, and surely that's going to allow them to draft back past him. But
I was going to say, top tip, I would say, for when you're in a grid of sort of almost 20 riders, if there's no one ahead of you, there's probably someone quite close behind you.
Don't look over your shoulder.
So a bit of a, not really needed at that stage in the race from Monanda. But it would be interesting to see though how it goes with this group with some of the guys in here, not that much experience of running at the front, and all now finding it out. And Sho Nishimura there, you can see in the middle of that group now, and getting a little bit held up round turn one. Got to be careful there. Whereas Monanda in some clear, nice air at the lead of this race now.
Nishimura has been well and truly bullied at turn 1 and 2. He was second going into it, and about 4 riders dived up the insides. Then into turn 2, someone else offered him an elbow and edged past him as well. That was coming from the Malaysian rider, Azman. So suddenly Nishimura's got it all to do from 7th place. We thought he was just biding his time, sat there in 2nd place.
And then suddenly,
in a flash, suddenly he's out of contention.
Swamped completely. But did you say offered him an elbow before? I enjoy that. Sounds so calm.
It was polite.
But,
can I offer you this elbow, sir? Bang, and out the way he went. Good move from Azman to elevate himself up to 6th place on home soil. It's a good ride coming from the Malaysian. Went well yesterday, and is more of the same coming from the number 13. So keep your eye on him. Also keep your eye on the number 3. Is he going to go even further backwards? Number 10 diving up the inside. That's Firdaus, the Indonesian rider. Had a big look, just about got it stopped in the end, but Nishimura holds on. Oh, he's got such an effort now as Nishimura, a 4th victory of the season. Looks like a stretch because with 2.5 laps remaining, these two out front have broken clear now. It looks like, I don't want to speak too early, but Monanda and Thong Nopakun certainly look favourite to be battling it out for the win.
They really do, yeah. Like you say, there's a bit of a gap now behind that duel for the lead, and Nishimura is still pretty swamped down in this second group, so have to make some really quick moves now. Like you say, we've got now just over 2 laps to go, and whilst it's a long circuit, you still got to make sure you're in the right position, especially for that final lap.
It's going to take a championship ride now from Nishimura. It's a big look up the inside again. Comes the way of Azman, who's on the move. He's elevated himself up to 4th place now. But as I was saying with Nishimura, he can't panic in this position. Yes, the leading 2 look to have broken clear, but he has seen Matsuyama, his closest title rival, crash out. 5 points, 6 points, whatever it may be, are certainly a whole host better than 0.
Yeah, most definitely. So if it's going to take a little bit too much risk now to try and get past these guys, definitely better to take those points and try and extend that advantage, at least over Matsuyama, who obviously will not be finishing this race in the points. So it's a bit of a decision to make now for Sho Nishimura on what is his goal for the day. But these two guys at the front, you can see that that gap is still pretty solid, and it looks like it's going to be between those two for the race.
As is his dominance, Sho Nishimura, in the opening 5 races of the season. He's yet to finish outside of the top 2, but that almost looks like a certainty here with 1.5 laps remaining, because it's going to come between Munandar and Thong Nopakun for the race win. The battle for 3rd place, well, is pretty much anybody's at the moment, with 6 riders all fighting it out. Nishimura is in contention. He could keep his 100% podium record intact, but it's going to be a real battle. Meanwhile, 1.5 laps remaining. The cameras will focus on the number 4 and the number 6 out front. Munandar has led the way for the closing stage of this one. Thong Nopakun has picked his moment well, took advantage of a couple of battles behind him to sneak into second, and now suddenly that's a great ride from Saifuddin Azman as well. He's starting to break clear, looking for a debut Asia Talent Cup podium here in Sepang.
Yeah, it's getting pretty feisty now in that group, and Nishimura with a lot of work to do. Munandar looks now to have pulled that pin quite a lot on Thong Nopakun, who was just able to stay with the Malaysian rider at that point. Indonesian rider, apologies. But now we're coming down here for the penultimate time.
And Nishimura's done a pretty good job on this lap.
I was going to say, he's made some serious progress now, has Nishimura.
He's out of trouble in 4th place at the moment. He's got 3 or 4 bike lengths behind him, meaning he can solely focus on Azman in front of him. A podium is in sight. Meanwhile, who's going to pick up the race victory? Starting the last lap, it's Munandar that leads, and he's 4 or 5 bike lengths clear now. It's a great penultimate lap from Munandar, just to give himself the advantage that he needs over the line. Meanwhile, Azman and Nishimura continue to battle for 3rd place as we go into the first corner on this final lap. Azman tries to hold on, but it's Nishimura around the outside that takes 3rd place, and now he sets his sights on Thong Nopakun in front of him. What a salvage job this is from Nishimura, a proper championship ride. We wrote him off from finishing inside the top 2 for a 6th time this season, but it looks likely.
It does now, yeah, definitely. You can see the difference in the lap time last time around for now race leader Munandar and Nishimura. The Japanese rider was 2nd faster, so he's seriously pulled the pin now in the latter stages, but there is still the hurdle of Thong Nopakun in the middle, in between him and that race lead and race leader Munandar. So it's going to be pretty interesting, but no panicking just yet. There's still a fair way to go on this Sepang International Circuit before it all goes down to the wire.
And you can be almost guaranteed that the man in 4th place, Azman, on home soil, if he's got an opportunity, if he's got a sniff of a podium, he's going to absolutely dive for it. We're into that last half a lap now. Still Munandar that leads. A couple of fallers out on track in this closing stages, but we're going to focus on the front because it's all closed in once more. I thought Munandar had got the jump, but Thong Nopakun's right on his rear wheel now, and it's certainly not guaranteed that the Indonesian's going to pick up a 2nd win of the season, because Thong Nopakun is eyeing up a 1st Asia Talent Cup win himself.
He really is, yeah. Like you say, it's become a quartet now fighting for the lead. It looked like those 2 guys were going to duel it out to the end, but no, Nishimura has got himself in this group, and I think it's going to be a pretty interesting final corner from these guys, with so much on the line as well.
Well, it's pretty much going to be a lottery. Throw the numbers 4, 6, 3 and 13 and spin it around, see which order they come out in, and that'll be just as much use as we go on to the back straight for the final time. Again, a big look over his shoulder from Munandar. Surely that's going to cost him on the final lap. Thong Nopakun's trying to go around the outside, but Munandar's giving him no room whatsoever. He's going to have to go the long way around. Here comes Azman looking for a podium. Nishimura gets tagged, Sender leading, 3 go down. Munandar's going to take the win, but it's Azman and Sho Nishimura, the championship leader, that goes down through no fault of his own. Meanwhile, Munandar escapes the madness behind and takes a 2nd win of the season and firmly cements himself back into the title hunt. What a disaster for Nishimura.
Absolute drama then at the final corner. We know it can happen, especially out of Sepang, and Azman just wanted that home podium so badly, just went for that move, and sadly, just tagging Nishimura and those 2 going down. Incredible work from Thong Nopakun, full stoppy, and then managed to get back in the race though as well and cross the line.
In third.
Kept a podium, did the Thai rookie, but obviously Putra, a little bit less dramatic route round the final corner for the number 16, so he takes 2nd in the end, and then sad walk over the gravel for our one of our home heroes, and of course championship leader, which he remains, but that lead has definitely gone down significantly after that DNF.
We'll wait for the maths to come through to tell you exactly how many points clear he is. But we almost said it was going to happen with Asman at home, looking for a debut podium. You can see 3 abreast into the final corner. Number 13, hard on the brakes. He knew he wasn't going to get it stopped. Nishimura came across him. And I tell you what, that is an unbelievable job from Thong Noppakin. Talk about a stoppie. The rear wheel was nearly vertical.
It really was. It's full drama, isn't it? Really incredible control from him. It keeps himself out of a sticky situation. And reminds me a little bit of the Danny Pedrosa Motegi legendary stoppie. A little bit less drama, a little bit less speed. But managed to salvage a podium at least, because I guess there's nothing worse than the heartbreak of being so close to that podium and then it's someone else's fault and it just disappears.
He's just describing it to Munandar there. Munandar's pointing, did you get caught up in that? And he's saying, yeah, I did, but front back wheel came up, somehow got it stopped and got across the line to take third. That'll be a tale we'll be telling for quite a few years, I would imagine Thong Noppakin.
And then a few wheelies there from all of those guys to celebrate that. Some pretty interesting results in that race. But Munanda, really, really impressive. Like we said, been gaining some momentum. And this win, I'm sure, will help that, because the reason why he wasn't caught up in that drama is because he was already too far ahead of it.
Yeah,
so he'd already got that job done, and a super impressive race from the Indonesian rider. So, good stuff from him, and it definitely makes him a bigger championship threat than he certainly seemed when the Cup arrived at Sepang for the first time this year.
Well, my early maths, I would imagine that
early maths,
that would have elevated him up to second in the championship and 18 points adrift of Nishimura. We'll get confirmation in a minute. In the meanwhile, here's confirmation of the final results, and for the second time this season, Afridza Munandar takes the Asia Talent Cup victory, joined on the podium by Adinantra Putra and immensely Warwick Thong Noppakin.
Absolutely.
Tachikon Bawasri gets into the top 10. Final points going the way of Luke Power and Idil Mahadi on home soil, with confirmation that Matsuyama crashed out in quite dramatic style. He did take a trip to the medical centre. We're just hearing that he has been declared fit, though. He is all okay, which is absolutely superb news, Fran.
It is great news, yes, definitely. Obviously, that's the most important thing, despite the drama and everything else. Firstly, rider's okay, and then you can dissect the some of the craziness in the ATC that happens on track. You can see them all now filtering down into pit lane after another pretty chaotic few laps of Sepang. Not quite the level of yesterday, maybe, after we were cut short from that red flag. But and a very, very happy winner. You can see full gas down into Parc Ferme now for Munanda.
Left arm raised in the air, wags his finger to say that he is P1, parks it in that spot as well. Good celebrations from Afridza Munandar. The second time this season he's had the opportunity to do that, but this one will mean quite a lot, because suddenly he's right in the mix for the championship now. We thought that it was Nishimura's to win, but not the case. Now just 18 points separating first and second place, as he gets the congratulations from the boss man as well.
Absolutely, yeah, that was feel pretty good as well. Some good shots and photos there. I'm glad, Indonesian winner. Great job. And obviously Indonesia, a country that absolutely loves motorcycle racing, so it's great for them to have a representation winning as well in the Asia Talent Cup. So good job from him. But it's a pretty dramatic race, but like we said, Munanda able to escape that because he was already at the front, and just keeping it under control and heading towards the line.
And in fact, it's Indonesians 1 and 2, so there'll be celebrations there tonight, with Putra joining his compatriot on the podium, and we'll slowly see the man who picked up third place. I'm quite interested to see him explain his third place antics to his team members. Thong Noppakin. We
want to get the full explanation. Come on, tell us what happened. I don't think we're going to get the run through again. But it seems all nice and calm now. But that stoppie, I'm sure, had some heart rate spiking, not least of all for Thong Noppakin.
Calm in Parc Ferme may not well be as calm in the garage of Nishimura, and possibly Saifiruddin Asman as well, after those pair came together on the final lap. But an apology did go the way of Asman as they were trudging off in the gravel trap, and there is Nishimura. He might not well be too accepting of it at the moment, but the good news is he has got quite a few months to... well, good news, he's got a few months to get over it, or he's got quite a few months to sit and stew over it.
Yeah, definitely. It has one side and another, definitely, doesn't it? Time to try and recoup and recharge, but also that impatience of wanting to get right back on track and win again, or certainly fight for another win. But yeah, this Sepang event is now before our summer break for the ATC, when we'll be back again alongside MotoGP at Thailand, Motegi, and
back here again
for the season finale. So you see walking down pit lane there.
It definitely, I think I described it well as a trudge.
Yeah, trudge I think is definitely.
He's not best pleased, is it?
It's a good word for it. But here on the podium then, the guys who had a bit of a better day maybe here at Sepang. And that incredible stoppie from Thongnopakon to keep him third.
That is the best podium of the season, by far. To have got it absolutely, the rear wheel vertical in the air, pointing to the sky, and still get it stopped, turn it around, pull a 3-point turn, and still manage to pick up third place. An immense ride from Thongnopakon.
Not a bad job.
It is. Joined on the podium by Adananta Putra and, of course, the race winner, Athfridze Munandar. Now 4 podiums in a row for the Indonesian rider. There goes the third place trophy in the direction of Warwick Thongnopakon. Delighted with that one, unsurprisingly.
I'm delighted with that word in your accent.
Delighted.
Thongnopakon,
yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to shout it a few more opportunities before the season is out. Second place going the way of Adananta Putra. Gets a shake of his hand from his good mate and fellow Indonesian, Athfridze Munandar. And the race winners trophy for the second time this season, Athfridze Munandar.
All stand for the national anthem of Indonesia.
And now, as we heard, the national anthem of Indonesia. The Indonesian national anthem ringing out for Athfridze Munandar, a second win of the season, but more importantly, he drags himself right into title contention. A 25-point haul for him, 0 for Sho Nishimura, means heading to Thailand alongside the MotoGP round in quite a few months' time. There's now just 18 points separating the top 2 in the Asia Talent Cup.
Yeah, so that gap actually smaller than it was when we arrived in Malaysia, but with a different man in second now. So that that DNF for Sho Nishimura was a bit of an expensive one.
So here's confirmation that it's well and truly game on in the Asia Talent Cup. Now 18 points separating the top 2. A DNF for Takumi Matsuyama sees him drop level to Adananta Putra, 32 points adrift. It looks like those 4 men are going to be the ones contesting for the 2019 Asia Talent Cup title. But we did think Nishimura had almost a hand on it, but that's because we were probably being a little bit naive. We should have really known that anything can happen in the Asia Talent Cup, as it has this weekend. 6 races to go. We're at the halfway point of the season, and anything can happen when we go to Thailand, Japan and Malaysia for the final 3 rounds of the season. Make sure you join us then. Thanks for your company today in the Asia Talent Cup.